Samagra bhakti yogaya jnana vairagya yogine namausi nathamunaye labdha sarvartha sampade. Salutations to Swami Nathamunigal, who is the acme of Bhakti Yoga, an expert in yoga through knowledge and through dispassion, who obtained all of the Purusharthas. This is the first verse of the Nathamuni-stuti, composed by His Holiness Srimad Mysore-Andavan. The work tells the story of Swami Nathamunigal, who was absolutely central to the formation of the Sri Vaishnava Sampradayam, and who was responsible for recovering the sacred songs of the Divya Prabandha. How did Swami Nathamunigal achieve this? The Nathamuni-stuti tells us, Yatra arthinah katichidaya yuralayete narayanasya savidhe jaguraisha gadha aravitidravida sukti navaika yukta shrutva adbhuta jhatititascha vivitsuraha. Once when Swami Nathamunigal was at home in his village Kattumannar or Veeranarayanapuram, some supplicants came to his house singing songs about the Lord. Among these was one in particular sung in Tamil. It began with the exquisite word AraavamudE, and it sang with such passion, such devotion, and such vividness about Lord Sharangapani of Tirukudandai or Kumbhakonam that Swami Nathamunigal was utterly captivated by it. Never before had he heard anything like it. Today, of course, we know this to be the 8th song of the 5th century of Swami Nammazhwar's Tiruvaymozhi. But imagine a time when the Tiruvaymozhi had been lost, when nobody knew even of its existence, let alone individual songs. Let us then relish the astonishing beauty of this, the first verse of the 8th song of the 5th century of the Tiruvaymozhi, approaching it with the freshness that so struck Swami Nathamunigal. AraavamudE adiyen udalam ninbal anbaye நீராய் அலைந்து கரைய உருக்குகின்ற நெடுமாலே சீரார் சென்னல் கவரி வீசும் செழுநீர் திருக்குடந்தை ஏறார் கோலம் திகழக் கிடந்தாய் கண்டேன் எம்மானே. AraavamudE. That opening word alone is such an exquisite and befitting description of the Lord of Kudandai. I know of no equivalent Sanskrit term that has ever come before this, although subsequently it has been translated by such beautiful words as Nihsauhityamrita or Aparyaptamrita. The word Araavamudan has become normalized for us today, as we have heard it and seen it used in so many different ways on so many different occasions. But let us dive into its meaning and enjoy its marvelous originality, its chamatkara. The word Araavamuda literally means the ambrosia, the amrita, that does not satisfy, that does not satiate. This is a paradoxical word because, of course, amrita, ambrosia, is the food of the gods and fully satisfies their needs. They need eat nothing else. Why would Swami Nammazhwar then describe the Lord of Kudandai as the ambrosia that does not satisfy? To understand this, let us turn to modern economics and the concept of diminishing marginal utility. The first spoonful of ice cream tastes like heaven. Our taste buds are fresh and it just melts in our mouth. The 5th spoonful still tastes good, but it doesn't quite make our hearts sing with joy. And by the 20th spoonful, we're done. We're satiated, we cannot have any more. Beyond that point, it only displeases us to consume more ice cream. But Lord Sharangapani is not like this at all. The more we consume him, the more we relish him, the more we want of him. In his case, we have increasing marginal utility. And simple calculus tells us that in this case, there is no such thing as a point of maximum or full satisfaction. We will always want more and more of him. And what does this Araavamudan do to Swami Nammazhwar? The lofty Lord, along with his lady Komalavalli, Nedumal, melts and dissolves him. Karaya urukkuginra. He dissolves Swami Nammazhwar's very body itself, adiyen udalam, so that it tosses and churns like the stormy waves of the ocean. Neerai alaindu. This is an incredibly powerful and evocative image. It is the Supreme Being that is actively using Swami Nammazhwar's devotion, his anbu, to liquefy him, to purify him, and to allow him to immerse himself fully in the Lord. The image of the waves of the ocean also hints at the churning of the cosmic ocean. As Tirumangayalvar beautifully says in his Perige Tirumozhi, அலைகடல் கடைந்து விண்ணவர் அமுதுண வமுதில் வரும் பெண்ணமுது உண்ட எம்பெருமானே. By churning the stormy ocean, the gods receive mere ambrosia, but from that comes Mahalakshmi, who is the highest ambrosia in feminine form, பெண்ணமுது, and the Lord of gods unites with her, and in joining with her, the பெண்ணமுது, he becomes the ambrosia that always brings us back for more, AraavamudE. And this Lord, who reclines on the ocean of milk, also reclines most charmingly, Yerar kolam tigarakidandai, in Tirukudandai, amidst the life-giving waters, Serenir Tirukudandai, fanned by the finest golden paddy stalks, Shirar sennel kavarivisum. It is this glorious vision of Lord Sharangapani of Tirukudandai that Swami Nammazhwar sings of in just the first verse of this song. We can only imagine what an amazing effect this song as a whole would have had on Swami Nathamunigal. The Nathamuni Stuti goes on to say that at this point Swami Nathamunigal was craving to know more about these verses. Where did they come from? Who had sung them? He interrogates the supplicants who have come to his door. Swami Nathamunigal has noticed that the final Palashruti verse says, Orayirathul ippattum. This song is part of a bigger collection of 1,000 verses, and he wants to know all of them. He has no doubt that they will all be as charming, as captivating to the ear and the heart as this song. In a way then, this song itself is AraavamudE. The more we hear this song, the more we crave to hear it again, and the more we crave to hear the whole Tiruvaymozhi of which it is a part. Unfortunately, this is the only song that the supplicants know. Tirukudandai has managed to preserve one song of Swami Nammazhwar's, but they do not know any more songs, nor does anybody else. Thus begins Swami Nathamunigal's quest to discover the rest of the Tiruvaymozhi. He goes to Kurugur, the birthplace of Swami Nammazhwar, to see if perhaps any more songs could be found there. Alas, even there, Lupta Divya Prabandha, the sacred songs have been lost. This is a bitter blow. What else can be done now? Kintu Shri Kanninun Nityatishaya Mahita Dvyashtapadyati Hridya Gitir Madhurya Dhurya Madhura Kavikrita Giyate Tratya Vipraihi. The 1,000 verses of Swami Nammazhwar may be lost, but the 10 verses about Swami Nammazhwar, the Kanninun Shirittambu, composed by Madhura Kaviyalvar, are still being sung in Kurugur. So Swami Nathamunigal memorizes the Kanninun Shirittambu. He meditates upon it, and he sings it 12,000 times without break, with full devotion to Swami Nammazhwar, using all his power of yoga and of bhakti. Pleased with his devotion, Swami Nammazhwar manifests to him and reveals to him not just the whole Tiruvaymozhi, but the entire 4,000 verses of the whole Divya Prabandham itself. Since that day, Sri Vaishnavas have made it a point to learn the verses of the Divya Prabandham by heart and by soul, so that we may never again lose this treasure house of devotion to the Lord. And we revere the lotus feet of Swami Nathamunigal, who recovered the Tamil Veda for us, and who set it to music that it could be sung and performed in all the holy temples to delight the ears of devotees and the deities alike. No wonder then that Swami Vedanta Deshika calls him Tamilmarai Innisai Tanda Vallal, the supremely munificent one who set the Tamil Veda to beautiful music. With this, let us relish the ambrosia that always leaves us craving for more. AraavamudE, set to music and sung by Vidushi Srimati Dr. Subhashini Parthasarathy. Alvargal Acharyargal Tiruvadigalе Sharanam.
AraavamudE AraavamudE அடியேன் உடலம் நின்பால் அன்பாயே AraavamudE அடியேன் உடலம் நின்பால் அன்பாயே AraavamudE நேராய் அலைந்து கரைய நேராய் அலைந்து கரைய உருக்குகின்ற நெடுமாலே நேராய் அலைந்து கரைய உருக்குகின்ற நெடுமாலே AraavamudE அடியேன் உடலம் நின்பால் அன்பாயே AraavamudE சீரார் சென்னல் கவரி வீசும் சீரார் சென்னல் கவரி வீசும் செழுநீர் திருக்கூடந்தை சீரார் சென்னல் கவரி வீசும் செழுநீர் திருக்கூடந்தை ஏறார் கோலம் திகழ கிடந்த ஏறார் கோலம் திகழ கிடந்தாய் கண்டேனுமானே ஏறார் கோலம் திகழ கிடந்தாய் கண்டேனுமானே AraavamudE அடியேன் உடலம் நின்பால் அன்பாயே AraavamudE அடியேன் உடலம் நின்பால் அன்பாயே AraavamudE